Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of my Greek Orthodox Odyssey. What I'd like to do today is to go on a small walk and talk and to interpret and to talk about a vlog that was put together by Elder Nektarios, who is a monk, who is an abbot of a monastery in Greece and has his own YouTube channel where he talks about things that are of a spiritual significance. Elder Nektarios normally talks in Greek, and what I thought would be a good idea and to add some value would be to interpret what he's saying in Greek and translate it as best I can into English in order to allow other people to have access to his wisdom, to his knowledge from a Greek Orthodox context. So the topic for today that Geron Nektarios talks about in his vlog, and incidentally he has over 1,000 videos on his YouTube channel. The topic for today is living life without anxiety, where we look into and talk about what anxiety is and how debilitating it can be. And Geron Nektarios gives us some of his knowledge and insight into how to deal with it and how to make it livable, I guess, from a Christian perspective. And Geron Nektarios kicks off his video where he says, for some reason or other, many people have lost trust in God and don't believe that God, the Holy Trinity, can love each person like a loving parent loves their own child. I guess it's a sign of our modern lives, our modern times, that people are looking elsewhere for the things that our ancestors, our relatives, forefathers were able to find within their faith, within their church. And Geron Nektarios goes on to say, and I think we all can agree with this, that anxiety is the root cause of many problems in our world. It's the root problem of disease, sickness, sadness, and we need to try and understand what causes this and what the source of anxiety is. I remember years ago reading about anxiety and depression, and the author was able to say that people who suffer depression are people who spend far too much time dwelling in their past and worrying about things that have happened in their past. And at the opposite end of the spectrum, people who suffer anxiety are people who spend far too much time, far too much energy focusing and living in their futures. And the best place to be, of course, according to the teachings of the church, is to be living present, to be living here and now, to have, of course, one foot in the past, 1 foot in the future, but to have all of your weight, just like a bell curve, all of your focus, all of your energy placed in the here and now, the eternal now, so that you're living your life at this point in time, and you're trusting in God's providence for tomorrow and the day after, and you seek forgiveness, and you don't spend too much time dwelling on your past. So as the Geron Nektarios says, anxiety is the root cause of many problems in terms of disease, sickness and sadness. And what one needs to do is to understand that anxiety doesn't lead to anything good. You don't gain, you don't benefit by being anxious, and your lack of trust, your lack of belief not only makes you anxious and uncomfortable, but it also has the ability to unsettle other people. There is a negative vibe that comes with anxiety, and people can feel it, even though you don't show it or you don't think that you're showing it. You're emanating anxiety and anxiousness, which is felt and seen by others through your body language. And as Geron Nektarios says here, that if you spend too much time worrying about stuff that's not worth worrying about, you become anxious, and that anxiety leads to pain and suffering.
Wouldn't be.
So it's very, very interesting, to say the least. So where does it lead us? The next point that Geron Nektarios talks about is the fact that people who suffer anxiety are people who have lost their belief in God. He says it's simply the case because you can't be a believer. You can't be a person who trusts God's providence and be a believer. So there's a very, very big lesson that we can take from that. The lesson is that we need to believe, we need to trust, and we need to live our lives as best and as positive as we can. And that Jesus, and this is something very interesting, I wasn't quite aware of this, but this is quite profound as well, quite powerful in many ways. The author here, or Geron Nektarios, would tell us that when Jesus performed a miracle, or before he performed a miracle, he would ask a very, very simple question. Do you believe in me? Do you trust in me? Which is a very, very important lesson for all of us. We need to be able to believe and to trust in God, and to leave everything in his hands and delegate, I guess is what I'm trying to say, delegate our fears, our uncertainties, our discomfort, delegate our fears, our problems, delegate them to God and allow him to express his will and to accept his will without fighting We can spend our whole life fighting the world, fighting ourselves, fighting our family, our friends, our employers. But the more you fight, the more life will fight back at you. So what we're saying, or what Geron Nektarios is saying, is that we need to believe in God. We need to believe in Jesus. I'll just pick up these cards that I dropped. Just bear with me so the wind doesn't take them away. We need to believe, and we need to delegate and to trust in God's will. The author Geron Nektarios also says that we need to be childlike, and that children, according to Geron Nektarios, don't suffer anxiety, or don't suffer anxiety as much as what adults seem to suffer anxiety. Because if you watch kids, if you are with children, you'll see that they're in the moment. They're not worrying about what happened yesterday. They're not worrying about what's going to happen tomorrow. They don't even see the consequences of their actions. They just do. They just seek to enjoy the moment and to live the moment and to do whatever pleases them at that point in time. And for that reason, as Geron Nektarios says, if we choose to be childlike, we too can remove ourselves from the past, we can remove ourselves from the future, and we can live in the eternal now and not suffer unnecessarily. Because a lot of the problems that people have, a lot of the anxieties that people have, are because of irrational fears, things that they've made up in their own minds, fears that they have inherited from their parents, their grandparents, their friends, their families, their schoolmates, their work peers, from the media. A lot of the fears that people have, a lot of the anxieties that people have are irrational in their nature. And when you become irrational, once you become anxious, once you become fearful, what happens is that your brain shuts down. Your brain enters the primitive reptilian mode of fight, flight, or freeze. And you can't think straight, you can't think rationally. And all you want to do, all you're capable of doing, is just reacting in an animal-like function or an animal-like way, as opposed to responding in a mature human way. So the call to action from this author, from this beautiful preacher, the abbot of the monastery, is to be mature, be as mature as you can, and to not overreact to the stimuli that are being thrust our way, as I say, by media, by other people, and to live our lives with faith and belief, and to trust in God, to trust in the Panagia, and to remember that nothing in the world comes by chance. Everything is part of God's plan. Even the devil needs to seek permission from God in order to tempt us. And for that reason, when we recite the Lord's Prayer, we always say, "And lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil," where we're asking, we're pleading with Jesus to not allow the demons, not allow Satan, not allow evil into our lives, and to keep us on the straight and narrow, so that we spend our time, we spend our energy doing things that are God-pleasing. We are serving God, we love God with all our heart, mind and soul, and we love one another as we love ourselves. And the clue there is that before you love others, you need to love yourself, because it's only through learning how to love yourself that you can become fulfilled, and your cup can overrunneth. And once you feel love, once you have love in you, then and only then you can express and share love with other people. Just like when you squeeze an orange, orange juice comes out. Just like when you squeeze a lemon, lemon juice comes out. When we are pressured in life and life squeezes us, what comes out is what we have inside. So the key goal for each and every one of us, the Christian life, is to do things that are God-pleasing, to serve God with everything we do, and to ask ourselves at every decision point, is what I'm doing now, is what I'm doing today, is what I'm planning to do going to be God-pleasing? And if it is, do it with all your love and heart and energy. If it's not, then you may want to do something else. So once again, something to think about, something to contemplate. It was only a short sort of vlog that Geron Nektarios did, but should you wish to follow his material, his channel is Geron Nektarios, and he has over 200,000 followers. To be honest, I would expect him, with the material that he puts forward, the wonderful material that he puts forward, and his fantastic oratory style, I'm kind of hoping and praying that he has an audience in the millions, because he deserves to have a great following. But in the meantime, what I will try and do, wherever I can, is to listen to his vlogs and pick out the key points, the key messages, and try and relay them in the English language for people who are interested in the Word of God from a Greek Orthodox context, and share it with you so that you can live, learn and pass it on and share it with the people in your life as well. Anyway, thank you very much for joining me on this episode of my Greek Orthodox Odyssey, where we are called to delegate our problems, our challenges to God, and to also understand, whenever we look at icons of Greek Orthodox saints, we look at their faces, and what you see is calmness, what you see is peace. When you go to a Greek Orthodox liturgy, the priest will come out 2 or 3 times and tell us and bestow upon us the blessing of peace be with you, because there is nothing more, I guess, precious in the world than to be calm like these waters are calm, because it's only through calmness that you can actually truly reflect what is in the world without any distortion. So in order to be calm, we need to try and live a life which is peaceful. We need to serve God with what we do, to do it with love, and to dedicate and delegate our problems, our challenges to God, and to live in the present, to live in the now, and not to worry too much about tomorrow, not to worry or not to be swept up in the problems and the fears, the uncertainty and the doubt. Because as I said, a lot of that is irrational and may not come. So you end up making yourself sick, you end up making your family sick, the people around you sick, you put everybody on edge when you don't really need to, because over 90%, 95% of those things that you absolutely fear, the vast majority of those things will never ever materialize. So it's not worth worrying about. It's not worth worrying yourself sick, and it's not worth worrying the people around you about things that may never happen. So thank you once again, and I look forward to coming to you from a different place with a different message from Geron Nektarios, where we can sit and think and try and incorporate some of these teachings into our daily lives and to bring peace into our lives and into the lives of those people that we love and those people that we come into contact with. Take care, wishing you all the best, and happy Wednesday. Today is the 8th day of the birth of my third granddaughter, the first granddaughter from my youngest daughter Artemis. And traditionally today the Greek Orthodox have a naming service. All Greek Orthodox are named on the 8th day, and that's a follow-on from the Jewish tradition where boys are circumcised and receive their name. Jesus received his name on the 8th day where he was circumcised. And just to make things clear, a lot of Greeks seem to think that the name is given to a child when they are christened and baptized, but the reality is the name is given to a child on its 8th day, and when a child is christened and baptized, that's when they become a full member of the church, where they can participate in Holy Communion. They can be what do you call it? They can receive the Holy Unction, and they can receive all the other benefits and gifts of the Greek Orthodox Church. So today, the 8th day, is a day where my granddaughter hopefully gets named, where the priest will come to their home and do a simple service, but it's a milestone service, because the name that you receive on the 8th day is that the name that you'll carry for eternity. It's your Christian name. So it is a very, very important and a very, very significant moment in a Christian's life. Anyway, thank you very much for taking the time to listen to me, and we'll chat again. But how calm, how beautiful is this day. I'll just do one more swing around as the light is starting to come into the day, and we'll chat again next time. Bye for now.